Thank you. I'd just like to start with a harp solo. There is a harp over there. No, thank you, everyone. It's so lovely to be here. It's a real honour. I don't know how the Australian Open worked out that I was actually ranked in the top 200 when I was aged 11. But thank you for recognising my tennis talent. I was also, my actual first job ever was as an assistant tennis coach to my uncle. And yeah, when I was 15, I made $200 a week tennis coaching. And so I love tennis, I love playing tennis, I love watching tennis, so it's really great to be here. But also it's really good to be speaking, and especially in front of so many ladies, and in hopefully an inspirational way. Because I come from a family that's very female heavy. Wait, is that offensive to them? I have a lot of very strong women in my life, and I'm really proud of them all. So it's so great to see everyone here today, and to talk a bit about my life. So I wanted to start off about telling you I have a little niece called Sovereign, and she's 3 years old. And over Christmas, whilst we were eating like a lot of pavlova, because I do make excellent pavlova, we were all talking, and my sister was telling me this story about my niece, and she said that little Sovereign was being pushed around at her daycare, and this little boy was always pushing her over, hitting her with this toy truck, and the lady at daycare alerted my sister to what was going on. So I said to my sister, well, what did you say to Sovereign? And she said, look, if anyone tries to hurt you like that, you just say, no, stop, I don't like that, don't do that to me. But I guess that is easier said than done, isn't it? Even in 2020. So when I was 18, I lived in South Africa for 1 year. I was actually what's called a youth ambassador for Australia, which was a program that was run by Rotary International. And my job was to spread goodwill. I did do a lot of this. I would give speeches about how good life was in Australia, which was very easy, because obviously Australia is awesome. And the way I was selected for the program was quite unusual and something I've never really spoken publicly about before. But when I was in year 12 in high school, I was a witness in a major crime squad investigation. And a man connected to that case was the one who selected me to be a youth ambassador. And they were very impressed with my ability to testify under difficult circumstances and also in front of the perpetrator. And even though I was a minor, I didn't give my evidence through video link, I gave it in person. And I remember being quite brave in that court case, but I think I put that down to the fact that I was helping and protecting somebody else, another teenage girl, and not myself. But when it came to protecting myself, I don't know whether I would have been as brave. So after I finished high school, I did get accepted into law school, but I deferred college for 1 year and went off to South Africa. Now, this was in 1998, so it was only a few years post-apartheid, and Johannesburg there had the highest rape and murder rate in the world. So my host thought it would be a good idea that I took self-defense classes. So I did karate twice a week. I also had to carry this wooden baton with me every single place I went, which is weird because it kind of looks like an old-fashioned dildo, you know. I still have it. I was supposed to hit people over the head with it if they ever attacked me. Bit strange in hindsight. So I was really enjoying the karate, and if you ever see me in movies doing nunchucks and ninja stuff, this is how I learnt. And I was kind of excelling, so my sensei told me about this all-style martial arts novice fighting tournament. And I was like, yes. I mean, I love Jackie Chan movies, like The Karate Kid, so I was into it. So I trained really hard for months for this fighting tournament, and I also occasionally spread goodwill. And the day of the tournament, I was so pumped. And I was up in the first round against a girl from Soweto. Soweto was a notorious black township outside of Johannesburg, and definitely at the time, no doubt anyone from there had a very hard life. And I was up against this girl who was like really built like a tank. She was probably fighting to get a better life for herself, but I was there because I thought it would be funny. So we're there, we're standing at opposite sides of the ring, and the referee blows the whistle, and we're like fighting, trying to land punches and kicks, and I'm doing a lot of like, Kia! Like getting really into it. And then the referee blows the whistle, it's the end of the first round, so I go to turn back to my corner, and right as I'm turning away to go and get a sip of water or something, she knocks me straight in the face. And basically, I just started crying. It was awful. I don't know whether anyone's been hit really hard in the face before, but it's really, really bad. Like the shock of it, the pain, and I was just crying, and I just sat down in my corner and just started crying. And my sensei comes over, and I said, "I want to quit the fight. I'm done. This isn't like funny." And he tells me that I can't quit because it'd bring shame on the dojo. So the quickest way to get out of the fight was to lose 3 rounds. So I had to let this girl hit me 3 more times really hard. And it bat really hard. And I just cried and cried for 3 hours after I could not stop crying. And just like my niece in this situation, I was knocked down unfairly. And I kind of took it. I didn't fight back. And I didn't know it at the time, but this was actually a very literal lesson to me. And I'm kind of a pretty confident person, not in every department, but in a lot of things. And when I was being personally attacked, physically attacked, like I couldn't stand up for myself. And as women especially, I feel like it's very common to feel like that. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and basically it comes down to you not feeling worthy of better treatment. And I often wonder, like, why do we feel like this? Why do we feel like we, particularly as women, are not worthy? And I'm sure almost everybody here has been in a situation where you've been metaphorically punched in the face unfairly, like your husband's taking your money, or a co-worker's bullying you, or a builder's ripping you off, or, I don't know, another woman is gossiping about you, or someone could be abusing you, or sexual harassment, discrimination. Just on discrimination, I had a male co-star in a film just completely stop a scene and say, sorry, I can't go on because she's being funny. And then I was told I had to be silent in the scene. So for the rest of the day, I was in the scene, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. And again, I took it, and there obviously I've encountered instances of sexual harassment, and I never have actually publicly named the men involved, because you kind of have this weird feeling of like, well, technically it wasn't that bad, like, is it worth like destroying people's lives over? And I do ask myself, like, why did I do that? Because I think the reason is sometimes it is hard to use your voice, and it's hard to advocate for yourself and to stand up for yourself and to just say my sister's words of no, stop, don't do that to me. So in 2015, I was in Australia with my mum because she was going through treatment for breast cancer. But then I returned to America because I had this massive movie premiere on, a movie called Pitch Perfect 2, which I was really excited about. Thanks. Thanks, pictures. So by this point, I'd been to Africa, I'd had a malaria-induced hallucination, which forced me to become an actress. That's a story for another speech. But between Africa and now, in 2015, I'd slogged for 16 years to become an internationally known actress and writer and comedian. And I'd sacrificed so many things to get there, like relationships and having a family and my own health, so many things in order to achieve my dream. And I know sometimes as actors we can make it look very carefree and in the moment, but the reality is in order to make it in the entertainment industry, you really need the discipline of an Olympic athlete. So It was in May 2015, and Pitch Perfect 2 became the highest grossing musical comedy film of all time. And it was #1 all around the world. It was insane. Thank you. It was such a huge, giant success. So massive. And then suddenly, I got coward punched again. But this time, it was from a group of tabloid journalists who work for a company called Bauer Media. Now, this company has done some awful things to me before, like publish a picture of me in my swimsuit and shame me, put me in some worse beach bodies issue. But in 2015, they printed a series of articles trying to bring me down completely, claiming that everything about me was a lie. I guess no one would believe that I was a drug addict or got a DUI. I was in a love triangle with Warwick Kappa. So this is the story they made up about me to kind of hurt my credibility and authenticity, which is something I am very proud of. And unfortunately, these false articles spread all around the world, and I remember thinking, why would people do this? Like, why would people from my own country do this? And if I was their own sister or daughter, if they knew how hard I'd worked to finally be starring in a #1 movie around the world, I think maybe they would have thought twice about doing it. But all of a sudden, bang, they pushed me to the ground, and I obviously cried. It was really hurtful. But at this point in my life, I kind of thought, you know what, I've also had enough, and it's time to use my voice. So Bauer Media is this kind of very cocky billionaire media corporation. And let me tell you guys, like, the bullying and harassment and also financial hardship you suffer when you take on $1 billion media corporation and take them to court is huge. There were all sorts of unethical and weird shit I had to endure during the trial. But the weirdest was probably a stalker from rural Victoria who police had to remove, who said he'd made a bedroom for me on his farm and was going to lock me in there, and that in time I would grow to love him. So that was fun. During this palaver, I was also personally on the witness stand for close to 7 days, where the other side would try to just continuously sling mud at me, and all unnecessarily, because it was very clear to everyone through photos, videos and documents that my life story was true. And this company really wanted to hurt me for standing up for myself. They wanted to make an example of me and try to discourage others for standing up for themselves. But I was determined not to let them win, and with my amazing legal team, Renee is here today, who's just been announced as a QC. Well done, Renee. We won on every single point in the jury trial. And it was really amazing to prove that. And to prove malicious defamation, and I was actually awarded close to $5 million, which I was going to give to charity until the Bauer assholes, with their unlimited legal budgets, got that chipped down. But after they had to pay my trial costs and their costs, they did lose millions of dollars. So my case also changed defamation law in Australia, and proving that where there are aggravated circumstances, a victim can win more than the damages cap. And apparently it made women's magazines and tabloid publishers think twice about some of the dodgy practices they were engaging in. So not only was it great to fight and have my reputation restored, but it was a great personal milestone for me, because here was a situation where I was being personally attacked, but now I had the strength to stand up for myself. And I think life is going to try to knock you over unfairly. Like, unfortunately, it does happen to everyone. You get smacked in the face. And as a woman, you can just, it's so hard sometimes to say, no, stop, like, I don't like it. But please, if you can, if you're in a situation where you can, please use your voice, because if you don't, it can send a message to others that you think you're not worthy. And you know who can pick up on that? Like younger women, like my little niece. Because they shouldn't hear or see the message that people can treat you badly. They should see and hear the message that everyone is worthy and everyone should be treated with respect. And when I look at my sweet little niece, I think, I never want her to feel not worthy. I don't want her to get hit by a boy at daycare and pushed over and just accept that shit can happen to her because she's a girl. I want her to stand up to mistreatment and to speak out when she's been unfairly wronged, and I want her to use her voice. But the good news is that little Sovereign has now been taking Taekwondo classes. And he's somehow on a green belt at age 3, so I don't know how that happens, but she's totally kicking ass. Thank you everyone so much. So you're on camera.